Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey, everybody. Live from Harlem in New York City, it's me, I'm Alex, and this is the Ramble. Larry Bubbles Brown lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's been there for how many years, Larry?
40.
40 years. Wow. That's a long time. I don't think I've lived there 40 years, and I was born and raised there, you know?
Yeah, you did the opposite. You moved from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the East Coast was still is. This was the largest market, as they call it, in the United States. Largest population and everything like that. So to get a job in New York was to have made the big time, as it was called. And
So when you first went back there, you must have loved it.
I had a love affair with this town you wouldn't believe, you know. And it was dangerous, and it was dirty, and it was everything else, but there was something about that made it wonderful, you know. I think we just lost Larry. Did we lose him? Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me call him again, see if he answers. There we are.
Okay, we're back.
I don't know. I can always count on Skype. We do this with Skype.
It happens once every show.
No, but I came here. I had a love affair with this town.
You said it was dangerous and dirty, but
there was there's something about that. It's like somebody once said that there's a certain excitement to walking on the edge of a razor, you know, and so it was really interesting.
What was the first year you got there?
Well, I think I got here in 1969, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I stayed here for about, I don't know, 10 years, something like that. And then I went out to the West Coast, back to San Francisco. I considered it kind of failing, if you will, because I was literally going back home. And I was not offered a job in San Francisco. They just wanted me to come in and work for a week to see how I did, you know. So I worked for a week, and by the end of the week, they wanted to hire me. So I moved back to San Francisco. I didn't have a job in New York any longer, and the rest is history. I think actually San Francisco, in many ways, was my biggest success of my career.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it sounds like New York was good too, but.
Well, you know, I have on my Facebook page, my quote is, he used to be a big shot. You know, and really in San Francisco, I was a big shot. You got to admit that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I don't think I'll ever would ever see fame like that again. So that was a pretty good deal. That was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think that was good timing, too, because you came out here just when the comedy boom was just starting to fester.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I went back and said, I think I'll do a show with comedians. You know, that was never the plan. The plan was to just go on and do a morning show and hope that it lasted more tan a year, you know?
So how did you get your first comic on the show?
What happened was, I think it was my general manager said to me, "Listen, I have this guy named Bobby. Was it Bobby Slate?
Wow.
I think it was Bobby Slate." And he said, "Very funny comedian. Would you like to have him on?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" So he came on, and it worked really well. And then I said, "Do you know any other comedians?" And he said, "I know a whole bunch of them." And I think it was Slayton. It may have been Slayton, or it may have been Gonzo. It may have been Dr. Gonzo.
Okay.
But it was one or the other. And I said, do you have any other people you know? And all of a sudden they started sending me these people, which is pretty cool. So that's
And did you have a live audience then?
No. How that happened. See, everything I did in San Francisco, none of it was by design. Okay? I didn't say, hey, and then I bring in comedians, and then I'll have a live studio audience, and we'll blah, 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 blah. No, it's just, What happened was one morning, some people came knocking on the door of the station early in the morning and said, can we come in and watch the show? And so we said,
Really?
Sure, come on in and watch it. So they were here, and you could hear them laughing in the background and things like that. I went, so I said, I think I just said something like, well, anybody that wants to come down and watch the show, come on down. Before we knew it, we had 20 people in the room. I said,
That's
this
such
is
a great idea.
I said, this
made the comedy. We knew what was working.
Well, yeah. So having the comics on was something that just happened by osmosis, and the same thing was true of the studio audience. But one really went with the other. I mean, could you imagine doing that show anymore without having a studio audience?
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where the studio audience came into play. That was at KMEL. And then I got hired away from KMEL by the Quake. And then we went over to the Quake, and they actually built a studio big enough for me to accommodate 30 people, say, And then we had a whole bunch of problems with that station because if you wanted to cash your paycheck at the Quake, you had to be the first one that got to the bank. Yeah. It was a terrible. Oh,
wow.
It was horrible. Just horrible, I got to tell you.
Odd because that was a very popular station.
Yes, it was very popular, but what was happening is they were sending all the money from the station back to, I don't know, Philadelphia or somewhere where the people who had bought the station were, and then the guy who bought the station was taking the money and going out and spending it like crazy, so there was no money to pay the bills with.
Jesus.
So, all of a sudden they're turning out the lights, they're turning off the gas, and they're turning off this and that. It was just horrible. But
well,
yeah.
I remember that studio it was on Sutter Street, and that was you had Robin on one morning, and there were so many people packed in there. It was unbelievable.
Yep. So it was something. But that show, we had a studio audience. We had the comedian. It was all comedians now, and it was studio audience. And occasionally an actor or somebody like that would drop by. That was possible. And the show was getting popular enough where, promotion people were calling me up and going, such and such a big movie star is in town. Would you like to have them on? And so that's how that grew. But then I had gotten into a fight with the people who owned the station because they wanted me to play nothing but music. And I said no. And it was in my contract that I had complete creative control over my show. So they couldn't tell me to play more music and all of that. So eventually they just wanted to get rid of me and just keep paying me. So then the Quake the Live 105 came along, and Ed Cramp, and he loved sports, and he thought of a sports thing to do, and he went to the Quake and said, listen, I'll take him off your hands for, let's say 50% of his, 60% of his, 40% of his salary we'll pay. And they said, no, we want you to pay 60%. And they went, okay, we'll pay 60%. And the deal was they keep paying 60% until I reached the same amount of audience level, rating-wise, that I was getting at the Quake. Let me see if I can get this straight. So they said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to pay 50% or something. In other words, they didn't take the deal. They said, but what Cramps said to them, what Live 105 said to them, well, it wasn't called Live 105, it was called Kit's Hot Hits, was that he would keep paying the 40% or 50% or whatever the percent was until I reached that rating number that I had at the Quake. And then at that point, their obligation would completely disappear. Well, they didn't take that deal because they felt it was a bad deal. They just wanted, the percentage thing. Well, in the first rating, I surpassed my ratings at the Quake. And they were stuck with paying me for the rest of my contract, which was about a year and a half to go. And so I had two different stations paying me money. So I think I even got two different checks.
That's great.
Yeah. It's hard to remember all of that, how that went down. I can't remember exactly because I'm old and I don't remember.
Well, do you remember when you did your first live comedy show in radio?
The first live comedy show?
Yeah.
What do you mean first live comedy show?
Not on the air, but when you actually booked a show.
Oh, booked a comedy show. Well, yeah. that happened for a different reason entirely. It was Gonzo, and he said to me, why don't we do a comedy show somewhere? And I said, sure, it's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind doing it. And so he said, well, I got this place. I can't remember where it was, and it was a huge auditorium. It was an area where you could have a lot of people. And we brought Joe Rogelski in on it, who was my newsman. It was called the Alex, Joe, and Gonzo Show. And that was the first time we ever did a comedy show. I can't even remember who was on it. I'm sure Gonzo was on it. I think Slayton may have been on it. I think Jeremy Kramer may have been on it.
Do you think it was in the city or in the burbs?
It was in the burbs. It was down in the South Bay. But I can't remember where exactly. But we did a couple of those with Gonzo, and then I stopped doing them with Gonzo. I didn't see where he was a value, where he added any value. I could do these shows without him and still draw the same amount of people. Okay.
Right.
So I made it the Alex and Joe show. And then when I moved to another station and Joe couldn't come with me because he was still under contract to the old one, it just became, Alex Bennett Presents. So that was it. That was
those were great shows.
How I screwed Gonzo out of our shows. No, I just figured it wasn't, he wasn't a necessary component to making it successful, But he came up with the idea. I got to give him that,
Yeah.
So that's my history of comedy in San Francisco. But it was all natural. It just happened because it happened, And I didn't. I really loved it. I loved doing those shows, and they made me a lot of money over the years too. And they made my comics a lot of money. I paid everybody, I think, pretty good money. I don't know what I paid him. Gary figured that out, my business manager. But I always told him, give him top dollar,
Yeah, they were good.
Well, I always felt that without the comedians, I had no show. So why shouldn't you get your lion's share of it?
Everybody made money. The crowds were great. It was win-win.
The goodwill between $100 and $200 is only $100.
Yeah.
But I mean that we paid more than that. But the largest paycheck I think up to that time that Slayton ever had was doing one of my shows, And the reason I liked giving you guys that kind of money is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, it upped the money you could get from other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you could say, well, I get Alex pays me so much, so this is how much you got to pay. And I'm not going, and they had to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think in a strange way, the comedy clubs hated me because I was kind of in competition with them, but only occasionally. We did these comedy shows, once every 3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Probably 2 a year, 3 at the most.
Yeah. And we did a lot of them down in Palo Alto at the Keystone.
Right.
So, that's my life in comedy, but I used to be a big shot. I love that saying. It's from a movie called The Roaring Twenties. What's it called? Yeah, with Humphrey Bogart and Jimmy Cagney. And Bogart shoots Jimmy Cagney, and he goes stumbling out of wherever he is, and he goes stumbling down the street. I think it's kind of snowing. And he stumbles and falls on the steps of a church. And he's dead. And his girlfriend rushes up and grabs him and cradles him in her arms. And a cop then comes along and looks down at her and say, "Who was he?" And she gave his name. I don't know what the character's name was. Says, "What did he do?" And she looked up at the cop and she said, "He used to be a big shot." And I always loved that. Anytime I lost a job, that used to ring in my ears, Alex, you just lost your job. He used to be a big shot.
That's great. So Bogart shoots cat. I've never seen that. That'd be, I got to see that one.
Yeah. It was the early days when Bogart wasn't the lead actor. And
wow.
he was the bad guy always because I think he may have done a movie by then called Petrified Forest, in which he played a character who was a bad guy. And he kept playing bad guys for quite a while. He started out being kind of the male lead in plays on Broadway. I think he's the guy who is famous for having said in a play, "Tennis, anyone?" So, that was Bogart prior to going out to Hollywood, where all of a sudden he became this gangster, this tough guy. I think the most unusual component for a star in those days, because he was kind of, he was a gangster, and yet women adored him. They just loved him, He was I think, a fine actor, a fine movie actor. In those days, there are two types of people in movies. So the kind who are actors, and they're always playing different parts every time. And then there are those that basically, come on, admit it. You go to a movie to see Harrison Ford because you want to spend 2 hours with Harrison Ford. All right? You don't want to spend 2 hours with Harrison Ford in heavy makeup playing somebody who's not recognizable. That's you leave that for somebody else, It's funny the lengths you have to go to keep a career going. Demi Moore just won Best Actress at the Golden Globes, which shows you how terrible the Golden Globes are, because I watched that movie. And, she's okay. There's nothing wrong with her. But she spends half the film naked.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, half the film naked. She's got a great body for her age, but naked. And I don't know that it was a great acting job. Unless you consider taking your clothes off a great acting job. But, a lot of times what happens with these established actors, if they do anything where they're playing other than what they were established for early on, Everybody goes, "What a wonderful job acting!"
Yeah. Oh
Did
my
you
God.
Oh my God! Did you see she was naked throughout the entire film? How brave of her! What a great tour de force acting performance! What, her nipples were hard? What? I don't know. You know.
I thought she'd retired. I hadn't heard of her in years.
Oh well, she's back again. You know, she's back because of this movie, which is it's about 3/4 of a decent film, and then it goes off the rails at the end. You know, there are too many movies these days that don't have a great third act. You know,
They don't know how to end them.
they don't know how to end them exactly, and this is one of those they didn't know how to end. So they just they threw everything at the wall and tried to see if it stuck. So I can't ask you, have you seen any good movies lately? And I was thinking about this the other day. I said, I've never asked him that question, and I imagine the answer would be, I haven't seen a movie in years.
No, too bad because I love theaters. But I remember this is like 30 years ago. One of the last movies I saw in the theater was with you and David Feldman, and it was called The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
I think that could have been 91, I think.
91? You haven't seen a movie in 35 years?
I must have been in the theater since then, but not.
That's about as often as you were on Letterman. Come on.
Yeah.
You know. By the way, I watched you the other day doing your Letterman set. And I said, what a career you've wasted.
Was it the first one or the second one?
The second one. What a career you've wasted. You could have done movies, any number of things. You had a look, you know. And you just, I don't think I know you loved having a career in comedy. But quite frankly, I think you kind of never really pushed it, you know.
You didn't push it, no.
Yeah. And had you pushed it, I mean, you started having a movie career, didn't you? You were in a couple.
I had
of
little
films.
bit parts in about 3 or 4 movies. You know,
Yeah.
Those are actually the small parts. Those are kind of fun. There's not a lot of pressure, so those were. Yeah, I would have liked a bit more of those.
Well, I mean, I think you could have been a major character actor. You know?
Really? Well, that would have been my dream. Shit.
No, because the character actor probably in many cases has a better career than the star.
They're always working.
Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah.
I think somebody's tapping on the wall in the next apartment, like they're putting up a picture frame or something.
Yeah, someone's hammering.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I would have liked to have been Elijah Cook if I could go back and do it again.
Well, you know, those guys worked. I often said, you know, how much money did Bogart make in his career? How much money did Elijah Cook make in his career? I mean, Elijah Cook, as a character actor, you can work forever. I mean, I see guys in movies now who I look at Marjorie and I go, boy, he works a lot. And he's just, you know, secondary actor, you know. And I think you could have done very well in that. You know, you had the face for it. You got a funny face, pure character. Pure character. I wish I had been an agent and that you could have been.
You should have been my agent, right?
Well, you know, I wouldn't have made a good agent because I'd go, well, I'm afraid of calling people. You know, I couldn't call up people to get a job for myself. How am I going to do it for somebody else?
Yeah, I hate that. I know what you mean.
Plus, an agent's got to go around kissing ass left and right until he gets a good reputation and people pay attention to him. You know. In order to be a good agent, I got to be able to call up the head of Warner Brothers and say, I think Larry Brown would be great for blah, 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 you know. And then they go, yes, of course, Alex, we agree with you because you've been kissing our ass for years. That's just not there's more to being an agent than just representing somebody. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
The hard part is having to kiss Hollywood's butt over and over incessantly. So, but I looked at you and I went, Jesus, what a missed opportunity this. I mean, I don't want to make you feel bad. You've had a decent enough career. You're still doing comedy where a lot of people aren't, I mean, most of them are, selling cars somewhere in Alameda. So.
Or worse yet, working cruise ships.
Well, who was the comic that went up against me in San Francisco? And
Marty Cohen.
Marty Cohen. What's he doing these days?
I heard he moved to Las Vegas, had a heart attack, and got out of the business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I heard that he had actually become like, I don't know, a real estate guy or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's selling real estate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that, you never wound up that way. You're still doing comedy,
I'm
damn
still
it.
working, yeah.
You're still working. Anyway, we've run out of time. In fact, we run over time. But who cares? I love talking with you, Larry.
I'm going to start that character acting career. You've inspired me.
Well, it's not too late to go. It's not too late to go down to Hollywood and try and find somebody to represent you who can get you in for some, character roles.
That sounds great.
Yeah, right. And as long as he's a depressed human being, it fits you perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Talk to you next week, Larry.
See you next week, Alex.
We're going to talk to him next week. It's a promise.
Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yes. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Wait a minute. I got to turn on my... I forget to turn on my lights, and then you can really see how beautiful I am. Okay, anyway. Well, thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the time he spends with us, as a matter of fact. I've got to lower my head here. It's not right in the picture, is it? Is it? What happens is I settle it down, and then after a while, I start to sink into the chair, and I don't need to adjust that. Okay. Anyway. So anyway, as usual, I'm tired again tonight. I don't know what it is. I need to go out more. I haven't been out, I think, in about a week. But, it's been so unrelentingly cold that there's no reason to go out. And on Sunday, it's supposed to snow. We're supposed to get about 4 to 6 inches of snow here in New York City. So we'll wait and see. I don't believe it, but I'll wait and see about that. Anyway, I think it's time to bring in the people who want to be part of this program. They're usually called the Citizen Panel. And there they are. They're all popping in right now. Yes, okay. Brian?
Yes.
Brian, turn your camera.
Hey, I thought I had to read this.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh, and there's my picture in the background. Well, I guess everybody likes to have a double dose of me here. I suppose. Lee Presson's with us tonight. Hi, Lee.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
What's happening with your life?
Oh, not much.
Not much. Okay.
All right.
That's exciting.
Not a lot at the moment. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Hello to Jeff. Hello to Josh. Hello
I've got multiple voices happening.
Say hello to Kevin. And
how do I get rid of this?
Well, it's probably your browser.
Yeah.
It's probably your browser. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Nice shirt, Charlie.
I'm sorry, that never happened to me before.
Nice person gave it to me.
God, we got a. Oh, it's always. Can you? Do you ever feel like calling us sometimes, Bree, when you're not eating? Wait a minute, we just lost him. Bree, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. I did a self-repair on these headphones, and they may not be the best, so I don't know if you can hear me. I can put on my other ones if they're bad.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can live with that, I guess. Ah, boy. Anyway, I'm a little dizzy tonight. What is this? Anyway, where are we getting audio from now?
Bree.
Oh, it's Bree. Turn off your audio, yeah, because there are people there talking in a foreign language. Anyway,
Speaking of dinner,
yes.
here we go.
Okay, so what are you making for dinner?
I'm not making anything.
What are you
I
finished?
have a special guest making dinner.
Who's making dinner?
Oh my goodness!
A friend.
A friend? Not. You don't want to identify this person.
No, not yet.
So a friend is cooking dinner for you.
Yes.
And what are you having?
Whatever she's cooking. No, they're like big prawns. Oh my God, where is it?
Big-
Yeah, huge prawns and
Oh wow, yeah,
a bunch of
that's
bunch of
cool.
stuff.
Big prawns. Look at that. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you devein them and everything, right?
yeah, whatever. As long as they're cooked, I'm eating them.
Yeah. Anyway, let me see here. And we just got joined by Alan, and yeah, and Jeff. We lost Jeff.
Uh-oh.
You know. Yeah. Well, we'll see what
Well, we
happens.
gained Ray.
What?
We gained Ray.
We gained Ray. Yeah. Hi, Ray.
Hello.
How you
Hey.
doing?
What's up?
Good.
You know, there's in the middle of my screen, it says this meeting is being transcribed for AI companion.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh,
What?
Okay.
It's a new
Yeah.
thing, I guess.
This being transcribed for AI companion? I
think
don't
it
think
is.
I had told it to transcribe. Let's
Yeah.
see here.
see what-
Oh, I see what happens here. Let's see here. Oh, stop AI companion. Oh, okay. All right. I want to stop AI
A
companion.
couple seconds delay.
Yeah, stop. Okay, stop. Okay, there we go. Now does it say it's not?
It's still there. I'll just hit the OK. I'm sending it to you in an email.
No, you
In the
don't need to
middle.
send it to me.
notification.
Oh,
no
okay.
big
You know
deal.
what it looks like. Okay, I'm just gonna.
No,
head
I just turned it off. I turned that AI off. So
Okay, well it's gone because I hit the thing OK. So
yeah. Anyway, so
you have it.
how are we all doing? Everybody happy?
Go live.
Perfect. Reasonably so.
I'm
Well, you-
inhaling HF as we speak.
You know, this is our last show of the non-Trump era.
I know. That's,
Oh no.
You know, with him moving this thing inside,
Yeah.
he's not going to be able to say that he had 7 million people out there watching him.
Well, he probably still will. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he's already taking credit for the peace in the Mideast at this point.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
They're going to release him Sunday, is what they said. So it's another setup.
they're going to release 3 of them on Sunday.
Oh, is that it?
Okay. But they asked somebody in Israel, some guy in Israel, well, why do you think this is happening? He says, because Trump is president. Yeah, right,
No, he's not.
right.
Guy down the street said that too.
The guy
think
down
there'll
the
be-
street? Really? Would you have a guy down the street tell you?
No. I'm just saying that anybody that's for Trump thinks that he does everything. So
Yeah. What is all
I
that?
think there's going to be people purposely making sure they film all of the small
Wait,
crowds.
hold on a second. Bree, you got to turn your audio off.
There's a
I
fight
think
going
there's
on.
going to be people purposely showing the small crowds.
yeah.
They're gonna be the biggest crowds in the
Gonna be
history of crowds.
it's indoors. It can't be big.
That was my whole point. It can't be big because it's going to be indoors.
Yeah, well, we're starting to look into moving out of the country. The only problem we have is that I have to see a doctor every 6 months for my leukemia. And Marjorie has a whole bunch of doctors she has to see. So what do we do about that if we go to, say, Portugal or Spain?
I bet they have doctors.
Well, I bet they have
another
doctors
doctor.
too, but I don't think they would be of the nature that we have here. I mean, we have she has really good doctors. And I have a couple of really terrific doctors. You know.
This week. Let's see.
My experience in Portugal too is they don't speak English much there.
Really?
No.
Spain.
Not like I went to Croatia and everyone spoke English.
Mm-hmm.
And Portugal, almost no one spoke English.
Wow.
Really?
Even though they were the nicest people you could ever meet, there's just not many people spoke English.
I seem to find that
Hey, is that any better?
What?
I switched headphones. I just wanted to know if it's better.
You sound awful.
Yeah, but there's not so much crowd noise.
Okay, but you don't hear the background.
Right.
Right. Right.
You know what I did, what I broke down and bought. I hate to say this. I bought what is it called? EarPods, or what are they called? The ones that are Apple
AirPods.
AirPods. I bought the
Earbuds.
the top of the line.
That's what I got.
They're pretty interesting. You know?
Pros?
Well, what they do is, to begin with, whenever you open them up, it automatically on my phone says, "Hey, it's it says
Oh,
you're
they're
using."
great.
They automatically pair. You know,
They're great. They're great.
and then I find that they that I have had a great experience with them so far. You know,
Apple does the Bluetooth well. I've had other Bluetooth. It's just a hassle, but
sometimes
Apple just works.
with some of them you have problems. You know, it takes you a while
Apple's
to
great.
pair them,
It's
then
just
you have to
boom.
repair them. This thing just pairs the minute you flip the top
Instantly.
open.
Yeah.
And
I
if
got
you
some
have
of the-
if you have an
Elaborate.
iPad really close and you have your phone over there, it figures out you want the iPad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awesome.
What were you?
Yeah, I got the same ones, the pros.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym and I went on the elliptical and I put one in my ear and I put the other one in my ear and it was dead silence.
Yeah.
And then everything started, the music wise, but I had to take it out really quick because it was like so weird for all of the noise to be canceled.
Well, the thing is, if I'm using it and I have it on what I can't remember the setting, but on one of the settings, I can't hear anything in the room.
Exactly.
I can't hear the
noise
TV set
canceling,
when it's on or
Yes.
whatever. And if I then start talking to somebody, it then allows me to hear them.
Yeah, that's the
And the
other
sound
setting.
goes
That's
down.
the middle one.
Yeah, the sound goes down. And then when I stop talking, it's just wonderful all the way around.
Yeah.
What do you want for $700?
I still use these.
Hmm?
Yeah, I still use these. These are what I've got.
You got those? Those aren't bad,
Yes.
though. You know,
Yeah.
I've got some my
Industry standard.
Yeah, well, I have my Rodecaster here, and they sent me a pair of Rode earphones with it. So, hello,
These,
look who's
Bose
here.
are great.
Look who's here, stranger.
Hey,
Hi, Phil. How you doing?
Phil.
I'm doing
oh my gosh.
laundry. It's Friday night.
You're doing
Oh my
laundry. Friday nights you do laundry?
No, not usually, but tonight I am.
Ooh.
Mm.
Are you here for the Trump era?
Did he make an error?
Era.
Constantly.
He never makes errors.
No.
If he did, he would make beautiful errors.
The
most beautiful
errors in the history of errors.
I hate all these impressions of Trump. I really do. I think they're. Seth Meyers does them, and I keep wanting to write him and just say, "Stop doing Trump. You don't do him well."
Ray is a professional. Please, appreciate.
Yeah.
I am not a professional.
He's an actor.
Whatever.
I just like this
playing around.
impersonation. That's the only one I like.
Let's see here. Somebody wanted to say something here.
And it's one thing, Alex, that I don't hear enough of. And I I hope President Trump stays healthy and doesn't eat too much McDonald's, and his arteries stay okay. But would we be prepared for and accepting of J.D. Vance?
You know something? I can't understand a word you're saying because there's something wrong with
You sound like a Decepticon.
Okay. J.D. Vance as president.
Why don't you go in the bathroom and talk to us?
No, if
I listened to that book, Hillbilly Elegy, and I can't believe that this guy lived through his childhood. You know,
I saw the movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it sucks.
And talking about movies, you know, I listened to your show the other night, and you said that the Bob Dylan movie you weren't impressed. I liked it, and
what I said bothered me about it is that I hate movies where people do impressions of people, and then they get the Academy Award for doing the impression. You know, why don't we just say they aren't acting, they're doing an impression, okay? And in this film, it's overkill. I mean, they're nothing but impressions of people.
Oh, I see that.
Brian.
Brian talking now.
Yeah, he's talking off mic. And then, you know, I saw a movie that I should have seen years ago at Christmas called Wizard of Oz. And I never really sat through the whole thing.
Wait a minute. You've never seen The Wizard of Oz?
But I did on Christmas. Jennifer has the CD, and so I watched the thing from start to finish.
DVD.
What a fantastic
You mean the
movie.
DVD?
DVD.
The DVD, yeah. And it was a fantastic movie. And then we went to the theater and we saw Wicked. Yeah. And I enjoyed that too. You know?
Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie.
It was
So did my 9-year-old.
I felt that Wicked was a pretty mediocre movie. It was beautifully done. The sets were wonderful, but you don't go away singing the sets.
No.
It was, but what was terrible about it is it's not much of a movie. It's not much of a story. As a matter of fact, there are only 2 good songs in it. And when they do part 2, they're going to do act 2 of the Broadway show in which there are no hit songs. You know, but I just felt that I thought Cynthia Erivo, she's the real deal. Okay, she's terrific. I couldn't take what's her name. I didn't think she was
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande. You know.
No.
Nah, I don't buy it.
It looks like she's shriveling up and gonna die.
Yes, you're right. You're right. There's
She looks
something
pale. Very bad.
Yeah.
She weighs like 80 pounds or something like that. She's so small.
Well, Cynthia Erivo's only 5 feet tall. You don't see
well,
that.
So is Ariana Grande.
But anyway, I watched this film. What is it? This 3.5 hour film? What's it called? Oh God.
The Wizard of Oz?
No, it's going to be
Schindler's List.
Huh?
Schindler's List?
No, it's called the Brutalist.
Oh, I want to go see that.
Yeah, that's an interesting movie. It's really the performance by the actor who, what's his name? The guy who won the Academy.
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody is he is terrific. He is incredible. The
Well,
film
what's the
is interesting. What?
What's the one with the rock star that is a monkey? You know, he's
Oh, Robbie Williams.
Yeah. I couldn't stay the whole movie. I had enough.
Monkey.
Kind of like listening to J.D. Vance.
Well, we got these movies through SAG, and we watched them all in the last couple of days. You know, it's. I mean, most of the movies this year we have seen, but those, you know, I thought the Brutalist was terrific.
Really?
Yeah, it's a terrific film. It's strange.
What's it about?
Interesting. It's about a guy who starts out with him coming to America from concentration camp. And then that whole American experience, and he happens to be a very good architect. And I won't say any more than that. But this thing goes on for, I think it's 3 hours and 35 minutes, something like that.
Is that why it's brutal?
It even has an intermission. That's how long it is.
Wow.
Oh, so 2 days ago, we can start the SAG viewing. I see. I didn't even realize. Thanks for reminding me.
You get them right.
Yeah, I forgot. I got the little card here. I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely do that.
Yeah, just sign
I want
up
to see The Brutalist. I don't want to go to the theater.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that movie with Jeremy Piven? I saw an interview with him just lately. He was like a tap dancer or something like that, and then tap danced for Hitler and was trying to get through the concentration camp stuff. Have you seen that one? No.
No.
Is it called Tap Dancing for Hitler?
No. No. I gotta figure out what it is. But
That's a great title, though. Tap Dancing for Hitler.
That would be
for
great. Yeah, tap dancing for Hitler.
That was springtime for Hitler.
Springtime for Hitler.
But anyway, I was not that happy with the Bob Dylan film. I thought that actually the best performance in there is by Ed Norton, who plays Pete Seeger, and he's terrific. He is just terrific.
Yeah, they didn't portray Dylan to be anything more than a whiny little brat, but
that's really what they did.
That's just the way he sounds.
Well, maybe
that's just the way he sounds. He just sounds like that.
I mean, you would like to think that people like Bob Dylan were wonderful people, and let's do a movie about a wonderful person. Bob Dylan was not a wonderful person. Everybody I ever knew, he used to be called in the village in the early days. He was referred to as Old Sticky Fingers because he'd steal everybody's songs.
But does anybody know Bob Dylan nowadays?
I don't know.
I went and saw him in concert a couple of months ago. He was absolutely awful. Just the worst thing I've ever seen.
I saw him at the Concord Pavilion several years ago, and he didn't do his standard stuff, which I would have enjoyed.
Well, he doesn't like doing his standard stuff.
It's terrible.
It's one of his little
quirks,
one of his nasty, mean quirks. Yeah, that he doesn't for his audience. He doesn't want to play his hits.
No, you don't hear anything. You just hear this crap, and he couldn't even stand. He can't even stand up anymore. He's so old, he can't stand up.
He also was very sick a few years back.
Well, this was like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for him. He sat behind the piano the whole time, and he sang songs I'd never heard of, and they all sounded exactly the same. It was just all it sounded like the whole time was like hey da he da ho da hoo da he for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well,
that was nice.
Yeah.
Sorry for the impression.
I had a friend of mine named Dave Van Ronk, who I think has appeared in the movie. The character appears in the film briefly. And Dave said to me that his story about Dylan was that he, every folk singer has their own way of doing a folk song. And in this case, Dave Van Ronk had one of the definitive versions of House of the Rising Sun. And Dylan said to Dave, you want to hear me sing House of the Rising Sun? He said, yeah, sure. And then he did it, and he said, well, you're doing my version of it, And he said, well, I just wanted to get your permission to record it. And he said, well, I'm not going to give you my permission because that's my way of doing it. And Dylan said, well, too bad, I already recorded it. It's on the next album.
There's a million versions of, or a million people that have done House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, but everybody has their own take on it. And Van Ronk had his own way of doing it, and it was the exact way that Dylan did it.
And I went down the rabbit hole once of going to YouTube and listening to all these different versions of House of the Rising Sun. You can tell I didn't have anything to do at that time. But
Yeah. Well, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right is a song called I'll Buy You Yellow Ribbons. It's an old folk song. I mean, he used to steal a lot, but that is not to say that when he went to his amplified music, it wasn't sensational. I mean, Subterranean Homesick Blues is terrific, even though it is
great album.
It is Chuck Berry's Too Much Monkey Business. You know, but I mean, still things like that. All that whole period of time that he had during that part of his time in Columbia, it was just wonderful. Just wonderful.
Highway
stuff.
61 Revisited was also amplified, right?
Oh yeah,
That album.
yeah.
Talking about other than movie. Actually, I also saw a good movie several months ago, which was that SNL.
Yeah, I
thing.
saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. It was quite good. Yeah.
And you know, they had a lot of angst and stuff. But we've been binge watching and just finished Ghost UK. Have you seen that one?
I saw
currently on
all of
Paramount.
Ghost UK before the American version, but I think the American version's better.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm watching the American version right now, but we watched the Ghost UK first and really enjoyed it. I like
it's very enjoyable. It's very funny, but I think the American version is just a tad better.
Yeah, and I'm probably on the third or fourth.
And usually
episode
I
of the
don't
first
say that.
season.
Usually you hear me say, "Oh, have you seen the British version? Boy, it's terrific." But really, the American version of Ghost is damn good.
Yeah,
Damn
I
good.
like the Viking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Screw you, Britain.
Screw you, Britain.
Yeah.
Josh, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind? Anything?
Well, you know, nothing super in particular.
You having a big inauguration party at your house?
No, I mean, you know, I'm not really covering Trump personally very much. You know, talk about issues and
Marjorie
things
says
like
she's
that.
not going to watch the news anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't. I was never watching it all the time. I mean,
Well, she didn't watch. She watches it all the time, and
I don't do that. I mean,
Finally,
I just stay informed, you know, other ways. I mean, I stay informed, so, you know, I'm aware, but I'm not reading and following every minute of this stuff because it's, you know, basically the same.
well, the last time that the aforementioned future president of the United States appeared, became president, we did not watch the news at all for a year. Okay. And we occasionally we would watch it because something else happened in the news. I mean, like right now, you want to watch the news because of the fires out in California. You know, pretty tragic stuff.
You know, because the inauguration is going to be indoors in the Capitol Rotunda, I understand that they pushed Jimmy Carter's casket into the broom closet.
Well, fortunately, it's out of there by now. But I think the thing that they did, which I thought was, you might even agree, kind of tasteless, okay, is they lowered the flag on the Capitol to half-mast because of the death of Carter. And according to protocol, it's supposed to remain that way for 30 days after the death of a former president. Well, that jerk who's the Speaker of the House ordered them to put it up to full mast for Trump's inauguration and then to bring it back down.
I think that's reasonable.
I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's showing good taste for a former president.
I don't think it shows good optics to have the inauguration under a half.
No, I don't think anybody would particularly notice it. And quite frankly, they're going to raise it again on Tuesday.
That's good.
Well,
I mean,
there's something wrong.
It's just,
You know that.
you know, it's just petty.
Yeah, it is petty.
I mean, Richard Nixon gave his inaugural address with the flags at half-mast because President Eisenhower had died a few weeks before.
Yeah, so
it's been done before.
But he was Eisenhower's vice president.
Yes,
Maybe
but
he was also
supposedly
paying
Trump
tribute.
demanded that the flag be raised to full staff for his inauguration.
And once
Right
again,
about it.
Trump makes Nixon look better.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just, I
he
think it's
whined
wrong.
about
I think, especially
I mean,
Carter.
isn't this like the first time in 100 years they haven't had the flag half mast for 30 days?
That's right.
Probably. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, what is
baby? What a toddler?
It
You
doesn't
don't have bigger fish to fry.
Well, it doesn't hurt to keep it at a half mast, and I think certainly Carter was a guy who I think is owed a lot of appreciation by people because of the decent person he was.
Especially the Panamanians.
Well, you see, you're going back to stuff like that. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about.
Let's just say he's one of the greatest former presidents we've ever had.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a humanitarian.
Wonderfully humanitarian.
He was a much better. Well, I think he was he could die because he knew that Biden exceeded him when it came to being a bad president. So Carter originally had the crown.
Well, I would disagree with you that
Biden
Biden was a bad president, but
I think Carter was a bad president.
Carter wasn't a good president. In fact, when I interviewed him, I even brought that fact up. I said, you're much better out of the Oval Office than you were when you were in it. And he agreed with me.
Yeah.
And then the Secret Service arrested you.
Yeah, right. No, but I mean, he agreed with me on that. He says, I hear that a lot from people. He says, and I have to kind of agree with it. And I said, you've become a hell of a human being since then.
That's something Trump will never be.
He was probably a good human being before he was president, but it might have been the Peter principle that he had reached. He might have been a good governor, but when he got to the presidency, it might have been beyond his capability.
Well, let me put it this way. He was a decent human being. I think you will agree with me on that, Phil. And I don't know if you can be a good president and be a decent human being.
Well, I don't see why not.
Well,
we're about ready to get one.
Yeah, a good president and a decent human being.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the
FDR. What about FDR? Lincoln?
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the Trump library.
Yeah.
All the pages of the books are blank.
But the children's books.
CJ Run
full of art of
it'll contain all the books he never returned to a library.
Right.
All pictures, though. All picture books.
Mr. Bookman from Seinfeld is still looking for him.
Yeah, Mr. Bookman. Yes. Yeah, but I thought that was a little petty. I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving it at half staff for a great man.
Why is that an insult to him?
Well, you can bring your flag down the half staff.
Listen,
wait a minute.
look. Let's face
My
it.
flag's been flying at half staff
Trump
since the operation.
I watched Trump at Carter's funeral.
Yeah,
and I got the idea that he was jealous because Carter was getting more attention than him.
No, you know who was jealous was Kamala Harris because Trump made Obama laugh, and there was some dirty look that you could see that Kamala Harris.
Well, you look at it as a dirty look. She was looking back and going, "What's going on back there?"
It's the same look that Melania gives him.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Did you, Phil? I meant to ask you last night. We had dinner together? Did you see Trump in the golf?
Wait a minute. Who picked up the check? Who picked up the check?
We both did.
Oh,
it was an expensive steakhouse. Phil was being cheap. I drove all the way up there. I'm just teasing. We split the bill, no problem.
Okay, where did you eat?
Forbes Mill Steakhouse in Danville.
Oh,
okay.
It's pricing like Morton's or Ruth Chris, So
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Alexander's is expensive.
Yeah. Are you taking us?
Alexander's, wasn't that a department store in New York?
Oh, Alexander's. Actually, my friend here, we went to Alexander's and we had 3-piece meat thing. Is really good, but she's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
they don't give you an expense account at Cepheid? Those 3 martini lunches,
No comments.
Well, are there people you have to take out to lunch in your job?
No, only when I travel. But then when you travel, it's like the highest ranked person pays, and then they write it off. So usually I'm with one of the VPs, so they pay for everything.
Oh, okay.
But they travel a lot, so they know where to go and all that stuff.
So you're not a VP. What are you?
Director.
Director.
Alexa Hente.
Alexa
I'm a
Hente.
director.
Exactly.
Director.
But you know, the fires and stuff out in California. That was I watched the news tonight, and there are several stories. There's the fires in California. There's the thing that's going on in Gaza, where they came to a ceasefire, and there's the TikTok story. Which story do you think they led with?
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yes. And I'm going
treating it like it's Y2K or something. And it's going to be nothing.
I think that TikTok is going to get taken over by one of the other things, either Truth or X, Twitter. It just makes sense.
Truth doesn't have the money.
They don't have the money, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, well, they were. I don't think they're going to be taken over by anybody. I think they're just going to wait the whole thing out and hope that they're allowed to come back on.
Redbox or something that they own too, and everybody's going to that.
What? No. Nobody is going to be happy with anything else besides TikTok. Okay. You're saying there are
the company that owns
there's
TikTok
Lemonade, I think, is one of them, which is a Chinese company, and the other one,
the company that owns TikTok's called ByteDance.
Well, the ByteDance owns TikTok, but there's another one that they're all trying. But the fact is that I think that probably Trump will do an executive order allowing TikTok to exist.
I don't think he wants them to eliminate it.
Right, I know. I'm saying he will intervene.
I have done extensive research on this, and I've been interviewed by media about it.
Really?
And I have a book. I have a book coming out
about TikTok,
tangentially in this area.
About TikTok.
Social media in general, yes.
No, not social media in general. TikTok.
Yeah, but TikTok, yes, I have been interviewed specifically about the TikTok situation.
What they ask you?
Well, there are a lot of different questions, and there's a lot going on about it. But my guess is that the Supreme Court will uphold the ban. I think they already have.
No, they
right?
did. They upheld the ban.
Yeah, but Trump has said he doesn't want to follow that. He is he's the enforcement mechanism. So if he does not wish to enforce it, then it won't be enforced. So then big tech will have to decide, do they want to go against Trump by removing it from the Play Store? They probably will not. So he wants a deal. He wants one of his friends to take over and get the money on it.
As long as
but their lawyers were terrible. Their lawyers were terrible at the Supreme Court. One of the worst argued cases in the history. And their CEO, the Singaporean, terrible job in front of Congress. He kind of admitted that TikTok they asked him, does it spy on people? He said, well, I wouldn't use the word spying. And what kind of people did they?
To begin with, and tell me if I'm not right about this. Almost every company that you deal with online, whether it's Hulu or whether it's Yahoo or whether it's Facebook or YouTube, all of them collect data about the people using them.
They all collect the data.
Mm-hmm.
They all collect it. They all collect it. And in fact, the U.S. government, U.S. agencies put in thousands of requests to the platforms for information sharing all the time. So it's quite common. And seriously, China doesn't need an app.
Uh-oh.
Frozen and gone.
He just froze.
What a way to freeze, though.
They got him. Oh dear.
Oh,
the toilet's overflowing behind him.
Well, here's the thing.
The Chinese have censored him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Chinese.
Oh
yeah,
we started talking.
Chinese frozen.
The Chinese were listening.
Here's the thing. I mean, all these companies are gathering data on you.
Yeah.
And in the same way that ByteDance might be doing it,
Wasn't there
They
something
are,
about
and
Siri and Alexa? Siri was
they
gathering
all
data?
are.
They all
Listen to
do.
you,
And
you
actually,
don't know about it.
yeah,
Right now,
so
they're doing it on this
do
video.
you exactly? Do you honestly think?
Yeah,
You know
we're
what happened
transcribed
was
by AI.
my iPad tried to connect to this coffee shop's Wi-Fi. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
I
No,
don't need it.
we
I have
know that you are
unlimited.
being censored by the Chinese.
Yeah, could be. The thing about it is they don't have a representative who has been, a good public face for them. The lawyers had no clue what they were saying. One of the justices asked them, "So what would happen? Could you separate?" And they're like, "Oh no, that's impossible, and we can't do it." And then the next question is like, "Do you operate independently?" "Yeah, we're independent." It's like, well, wait, two things can't be true. You can't be independent and then not be able to separate. Like, that doesn't make sense. And they didn't know what would happen when the ban went. They didn't know so many things. And then they kept arguing freedom of speech. It has nothing to do with that. It's definitely a national security risk, but they just need to create an
I'll
oversight
tell you another
board.
national security risk, though. Who's the DNA company that everybody goes to at?
Oh yeah, the
23andMe.
Mormon
21andMe, 23andMe.
No, the other one. The other one.
Ancestry?
The one that's owned by the Mormons.
Ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah, I will never
You
do
know
that.
that they're selling your information to the Chinese.
Your DNA.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I
And
did
law
that.
enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that.
And law
and they just-
enforcement.
Oh no.
You're all gonna die.
Now you're ordering one from column A and two from column B.
That's right. That's right.
Oh no.
Oh, come on.
What's gonna
Come on, Rick.
happen?
You didn't actually
Get
do
used
the
to it.
23andMe or Ancestry, did you?
I did.
Well, then,
Why?
yeah, now.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
If
and they
anyone
have
in your family
DNA.
committed a crime, they're going to come
They're
after
selling
you.
They're
it
gonna
to the
go
U.S.
after you, yeah,
government.
because
And the Chinese are laughing, saying we're actually making people pay for us getting their information.
yeah.
Well, you saw what happened. People are signing up for a little red note, Xiao Hongshu. People are actively signing up for Chinese apps now.
Really?
Yeah.
China's
well,
not very
What's
happy
that
about
one?
it. I just read.
Alibaba.
Look,
Alibaba's
look.
like
What's interesting in China, what do you call it? TikTok isn't allowed.
Nope.
smart.
It is. It's called Douyin,
Yeah,
but they do. It's exactly the same, but they restrict the
But
content.
they restrict the content. Yeah. So it's not really the TikTok we know it to be.
Can't you get around it with
Correct.
VPN?
Listen, I'm afraid
can't.
what's going to happen if TikTok is allowed to exist, they will know every kind of cat I like to look at.
Are you
Can't have info like that getting out into the public.
did
Yeah,
you say
exactly.
Ancestry is owned by the Chinese?
No.
No,
It's owned by
think
the
it's
Mormons,
the Mormons.
actually.
Oh, Mormons.
But they
Oh,
sell
yeah.
that
Those
information.
wacky
They
Mormons.
sell their information they get on you to the Chinese.
What do the
Also-
Chinese care about me?
Well, they
I
don't.
I don't care. I like China. I spent some time there.
Yeah.
You know.
Law enforcement in the United States will go to them and they'll get a subpoena and they'll give it to them because
No,
they're
they probably
Speaking of the
wouldn't honor
Mormons,
the subpoenas.
And knowing my family history and on my genetic code, I mean, how is that going to do anything?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't understand.
Well,
Oh.
anyone in your
all I know
family
is
ever commit a crime?
Marjorie signed me up
No.
for Ancestry.com. They
Because
did.
they're using it for
I
other-
had to send them 2 swabs because the first one didn't take. I sent them the second swab, and then they wrote me back and said, "You have you have a European background." Well, no shit.
That's because they said they wanted a swab, not a squab.
Yeah.
A Charles Schwab.
Alex, are you like 2% Native American or something?
No. I'm
Pocahontas there.
I'm 100% like Ashkenazi Jew or something like that. I don't know.
My sister just
I'm
did
an
it,
Italian.
and it came back with relatives on my mother's
and you weren't
side.
included.
No, I don't know. I haven't seen the results yet. But the thing was, it came up
And
with
by the way,
relatives.
they'll only give you so much, and then you got to pay for more.
Ah,
You know, it's a whole scheme.
it's a scam.
I'm a
just-
conehead.
Alex, did you know that the Mormons were so violent? I watched that Netflix show, American Primeval. Did you
Mhm.
see that?
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it yet.
no, I want to see it. Yeah.
Wow, it's good.
Yeah.
American.
Josh, have you ever tried Ancestry.com?
I not really. I had to use it for some research here and there,
What do you
but
mean?
not for me.
How'd you use it for research?
Oh, they're great for it. It's
Well,
amazing.
they own collection of websites.
They're amazing. You can find so much stuff on your family through Ancestry.com. You have to
Tried
pay
my
for some of
family
it.
back to 1828
Really?
on Ancestry.com. Yeah.
Wow.
Yours went back.
I use it all the time.
Didn't they say you were Polish?
Oh yeah, that's
It said he is white.
that's what my sister found out. She thought that our great great grandmother was from Russia or Austria, and it turns out they were from Poland. I guess I don't know how
she
accurate.
killed herself now.
Yeah,
Yeah, now you're screwed.
but we thought that they were Austrian and the other side was Russian. It turns out that it was Polish.
I
and
found out
Russian.
more about my family going through the Ellis Island website than I ever did through Ancestry.com.
And it didn't cost anything, did it?
No. And I also found that my mother's name and my father's name in the ledger because they came in together. And my
Alex,
grandfather.
couldn't your child use that?
What?
If your child went, if you did 23andMe or Ancestry.com and your child did it, it could connect you.
What child?
What child?
Alex has a child out there
He
somewhere.
thinks he
Oh,
does.
yeah, sure. Yeah, well, no, I don't think that'll come up.
Hi, Dad.
It's Howard Stern, right?
Hi, son. Nice
Howard
to see
Stern
you,
is your
son.
son.
I love you, Dad.
Howard Stern is your son. Wow.
Yeah, no, Howard Stern is my son. No,
That would be
anyway.
something.
Anyway, but I mean, all I'm saying is, I don't get paranoid about whether the Chinese are finding out about me.
Yeah, and
Me either.
some of the stuff that they're using is very good. I mean, Bree can say this, right? So when they went through COVID, right, Bree, you guys had like passes to get into places saying that you were not COVID positive. I mean, there are some controls that China does put on that are very good and useful, so we keep thinking that they're invading our privacy and stuff, but when it comes to pandemic, it did help them, right?
So the drones are not
I'll tell
Chinese.
you there's another issue, and that is the Russians know this as well. All you have to do is you put a clamp on the underseas underground cables that carry the internet, and they intercept all the traffic. So
They keep cutting it.
China doesn't. Yeah, they don't need. Sometimes they do, but they don't need.
I don't think
they
they're
can
using.
intercept
I don't
anything
think
they
they're
want.
using that anymore. I think they're purely the internet's going through satellites now.
There-
I'm not
there's
mistaken.
There's been a number of those cables cut by I think submarines, Chinese as well as Russian.
But yeah, but they're
there was
not
two
on
different-
purpose. Not on purpose by accident.
Not on purpose.
I'm not sure.
But the
They're
United
trying
States
to
has been
collect
doing
the
that for
data.
years.
They splice it to get the data, and sometimes
Right.
it doesn't work.
Data.
But anyway, that's so you have that.
I think what they do is if the splice doesn't work, they send the diver back under there and cut his airline.
But you know what I never got a straight answer to? Early on in the internet and the existence of the internet, I tried to say, where is the internet? I mean, where is it exactly?
It's in the cloud.
It's all over the
It's in
place.
New Jersey. That's why they got those drones flying.
Is it in?
God.
Is it in? And then the cloud. There's no
Pieces of it.
cloud.
There's
like
pieces
God.
of it on different computers all over the world.
It's not a cloud. It's just some other guy's computer.
Yeah,
There's
right.
not-
Exactly. I mean, the cloud
just
is.
on-
If you want to know where the cloud computing comes from, there are these servers down like in Virginia and stuff that
Data
are serving it up.
It's just servers all over
They're
the
data
place.
centers.
They're data
the cloud,
centers.
Actually,
Yeah.
the
They're up
internet
in Canada now.
ARCANET and the internet was kind of invented by the government.
Al
Wasn't
Gore, I thought.
it? No.
Yeah.
It was DARPANET,
Yeah,
1965.
it started
69.
out as ARPANET. Yeah.
Yeah.
DARPA with
Yeah.
a D.
I think
was
the
the
story is
Defense
Al Gore
Department.
saw ARPANET and said the whole world should have this, and that's how.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
ARPANET, or as you're saying, DARPANET, but I know it as ARPANET. ARPANET, when it first started out, people like myself used it because it could link you to things and people and information and things like that. And then,
Medical
then all of a
and,
sudden,
and
companies started
university.
deciding, hey, we can use that internet thing. Okay, and they started leeching onto the internet. And the government hated us leeching onto the internet because we were using something they set up, you know.
Yeah.
But everybody did, and eventually they just gave up and let everybody do it. And then there was what was it? There was several different internet services, and I can't remember.
CompuServe, Prodigy, Earthlink.
No, but then there was some,
AOL.
no. It was something west and something
Mosaic.
east, and they had names for them, and they were the thing that the internet traveled through. Okay, it didn't have anything to do with AOL. AOL, people like that literally leached onto the internet and started using it.
I remember you interviewed some people from AOL on CNET, and they were telling about what you needed to do to get an internet address and to be able to send a message before there was an AOL service. There was like a ton of things. That
Well, you
had
know
to
the
type.
reason why AOL failed, don't you?
The movie?
No, AOL.
You got mail?
Why they
I know.
why they failed was
Yeah.
because
They got acquired.
What? What were you
I
gonna-
thought they got acquired by.
No, they failed. They failed because everybody else was going onto the internet and starting to give people on ramps to the internet. And they weren't doing it. They felt, oh, we just have people do mail
was just
through
the
us
mail.
and stuff like that. And because they were too late to the table, as it were, they wound up getting screwed. They were behind the times.
Customers come in, older customers, and they'll say, oh, my address is AOL.com. And, I say, well, gee, I'd like to get an AOL address, but I can't spell it. Bada boom.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to like CompuServe. I used CompuServe. I thought that was pretty good.
CompuServe was early.
I used CompuServe, Prodigy, Earthlink.
Prodigy was way ahead of AOL in getting people onto the internet.
Yeah.
Earthlink. If you knew how to, you could get onto the internet without using any of them. So,
There was a time when they wanted to charge a nickel for every email that you sent.
Yeah.
And Prodigy
I remember
went
that.
down. Everybody went to Earthlink.
They should do that, and it would get rid of spam.
Remember the phone? You had to call up on the phones.
Oh,
That
yeah, the
noise.
300.
Kevin, did you ever use any of these other companies like
Coupler.
CompuServe and Prodigy and so on?
Larry Bubbles Brown is still using it.
I had a telex back in the day when I was selling furniture, and I had to place my orders to Europe. I had a telex, and it was set up through Western Union. It was this little portable thing, looked like a typewriter with thermal paper, and I had a coupler, 300 baud coupler. You'd stick the phone
Stick the phone
receiver
into the
back.
coupler. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's probably what gave you cancer, Phil.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, it was interesting. You type your message and.
Well, I was
you
using the
receive it.
internet way back almost before anybody, In fact, I had a website. I was maybe one of the first, maybe a couple of thousand websites in the country.
Radio Free Jack.
Radio Free Jack. Yeah. No, actually, before then. It was the Surfing Monkey.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was
that one.
Surfing
Yeah.
Monkey.
Surfing Monkey, yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, the thing that I remember is that there's sub underwater boats with atomic bombs all over the world.
Underwater
what they would-
boats. Well, you would that would
I
be a
used to
new.
call them submarines.
Yeah,
submarines, yeah. And, you know,
U-boats.
if they used to have stuff in different spots, not just, you know, all over the world. And once in a while, I used to come up by accident. And then my uncle used to go out there and bring them back. Because it was very secret.
The bomb?
No, wait a minute, I'm trying
Well,
to
that
think.
wasn't too dangerous at all.
No, well, you know,
Were you saying you were in a submarine?
no, my uncle
Oh, your uncle.
would do that stuff. And I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah. Well, they have
Everybody
nuclear.
knows
They have
this stuff.
nuclear submarines out there, and they have
Well,
submarines.
I
was
know that.
They have submarines with nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
You know.
But they would leave pieces of it all over
Sometime
the
in the
world.
next 4 years, we might get to see one in action.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Beatles had a
J.D.
yellow one.
Vance becomes president.
Who did we just lose?
Somebody left.
Oh,
Kevin, maybe.
Kevin.
Right.
David
Kevin.
Lynch.
Kevin.
David Lynch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost David Lynch.
Yeah, he doesn't like Phil.
Who's David Lynch?
Who does?
He's a director.
Yeah.
Just
You
died.
know, when I used to go to France years before the internet was happening here, they had this thing called Minitel, which was like a French internet, and it was a machine you had in your house, and it was all text based, and you can order tickets to the opera and order groceries and check the weather and do
Don't
your
they call
stock.
that the telephone?
No, it was like it was part of the telephone company, but it was a box and it was a screen
Ah.
with a keyboard.
I've
Pretty
seen those.
cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Called Minitel. It was
Yeah,
free,
you're
and everybody
showing
had
your
it.
age, Ray. And you're
Yeah,
younger.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of like the internet before the internet.
Have they got the internet in that country yet?
No.
I think they had the internet in other countries before we ever got it to any appreciable standard here in
And
this
in
country.
France, they don't even wear underpants.
No.
That would be-
And when they
was
do, they
not
only
part of the
change it
internet.
once a week.
I guess you'd say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's gross.
Well, there's a place in France where they do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Josh,
Not the whole country. There's just one
just-
place.
One place.
Josh, anything on your mind right now that we haven't brought up?
Probably not too much I'll get into. I'm sure we'll talk more tomorrow. I
Yeah.
do think that
Tomorrow.
I do think it's interesting and unnecessary that they moved the inauguration indoors because they think it's going to be cold outside.
It's
I
I
think
can
it's a
only
security
imagine
thing.
if Joe Biden had chosen to be sworn in inside because it was cold, it would have been because he was an
I think it's a security thing.
elderly, weak man, you know. But
I think it's because he's afraid of the small crowds.
it's going to be
Yeah,
it's going to be 19
If he's
degrees.
outside, everyone can see
he
how
does
small
have
the
an
crowds are.
There
so
would
they'll
be
have it in a small
probably,
room,
given the weather, there
inside.
would be a small crowd. There's no question about that. And this way, he doesn't have to excuse why there's a small crowd because he can't get them all in under the
Truthfully,
rotunda.
I think it's a security thing.
Why? What's
And-
what's a security thing?
Being a assassination attempt.
Oh,
So now he's
Oh,
now
just-
not
just-
only
you mean like the other?
It's such
you
a
mean
big
like
risk that
you mean
only
like the
40
other phony
other
assassination
presidents
attempt?
Yeah,
Like the
well,
other,
We have to be careful of
like the
this.
other phony
There's been
attempt.
two others.
Because if Trump goes,
To
we get
begin with,
J.D.
there's only
Vance.
been one. The other
Well-
one, the guy they found a guy with a gun, but he wasn't aiming it anywhere.
Well, he was laying in wait.
Oh,
The
they
guy in the golf
golf
course?
Oh, but
Yeah.
At a
in
golf
wait
course.
is not an assassination attempt.
Well, they did their job. The guy didn't get the bullet off.
No, they
Back-
say the Tesla, the Cybertruck that blew up, that was another assassination also.
No, I don't
Oh,
think
yeah, they
so.
say
That was a
that too.
suicide.
Yeah.
That was a suicide. And, you know, look at some of the other crazy things that are happening, like in New Orleans. And
Well, who would want to shoot Trump? Anyway,
Nobody.
listen. Don't do that, Ray. There may be
He's
people.
got insurance. He's got J.D. Vance. Well,
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, yes, he does.
That's his insurance.
Anyway, thank you very much for being with us tonight, Brian. I appreciate it. I want to thank Kevin for having called tonight, but he got off here early. Lee, thank you
Yes.
for joining us. Love having you here. Josh, always a pleasure. Charlie Wallace, Bree, Ray, Alan, Jeff, and Phil Meyer. Thank you so much for calling. We've enjoyed this. You know, it's a pleasure. Thank you
Don't lie
so
to
much.
Phil. He's old man. Don't lie to him.
Okay. All right. Anyway, all right. Okay. That's it for tonight. That's actually it for this week as well. We'll see you again. Let's see here on Monday for the pop-up show, which will go out over Facebook. Then we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, stay tuned for Amy Manuel, who is next with The Intersection. I'll see you again, as I say, on Monday, same time, same station. Not same time. Anyway, hey, listen, I'll see you on next Wednesday, same time, same station. In the meantime, if you see her, you know, of course, tell her I love her and a lot of other stuff like that, okay? Bye.